Yeah, I mean, Tammy asked you all the questions before, probably, but
Girl, you know how long that was? And I slept since then. So
okay,
shoot,
good,
you
good.
better go with it.
It'll be fresh. It'll be
It'll be
fresh.
brand
For
new.
me and Khalik, we're new.
Oh, Khalik was there on the first one.
Oh,
No, I was outside.
Oh,
oh,
they
he
ran
wasn't
you out, huh?
helping. He wasn't helping.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're the producer. Imagine that, huh? From the rogue to the producer now. Damn, boy, it's a
I
big
know.
jump in life. Shoot, man. Who you are, who I are.
Um,
Uh,
all right. Will you hear us in all this? Okay,
It's all good.
great. So we are here with former Principal Chief of the United Houma Nation, Thomas Dardar, and today we are in Demopolis, Alabama, and it is August the 5th, 2002. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us and also for all of your years of work that you've been so lovingly engaged in with the tribe and for our people. So,
no, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here.
yeah. Can you tell us your name and where we are?
My name is Thomas Dardar Jr. We are here in Demopolis, Alabama, where we got a job we're doing down the road here. So yeah, and like you say, it's nice to be here, and I'm glad to see y'all. Come down here and visit with us. Get some people from back home.
Yeah. Can you tell us where you were born and raised?
No, I was born in Houma, Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish, and I only lived probably less than 7 miles from where I was born. So I'm a resident and native of Terrebonne Parish and lived there all my life. And just so everybody knows, I'm 66 years old. So that's been a few years.
Yeah.
Few moons passed between now and then.
Did you live in Houma when from the time you were born and all growing up?
I was born at Terrebonne General, and now it's called I forget the name. Terrebonne Medical Center now. And but yes, I've lived, like I say, from the place I was born, the place we lived on Odemore Street, Rose Lawn, to where I live at now in Bayou Blue. I've lived in that community and vicinity all my life.
Mm-hmm.
Never left, other than to come work. Is if the furthest I get away.
Mm-hmm.
But born and raised right there in Terrebonne Parish. Yes.
And where are your parents originally from?
My mama is from Shoepick over in Thibodeau Way toward Kramer and all of that. And my daddy was born on Little Jean Charles, Jean
Okay.
Charles Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the island, and did you spend time there when you were well, all of your life, or
Yeah.
when you were
No, we
younger?
didn't. No, we didn't spend all our lives on the island because we moved to town. When my daddy was a young man, they moved to the where Dakeville is, and they lived there for a long time. Then we married, and him and my mom they moved, like I say, to Odemore Street. But the island is where a lot of our relatives were, and when we had a free chance, we'd always go visit on the island. Back in them days, when people would pass, they'd wake them, and the homes down there. So uh, at the time when I was a kid, they had, the island was lush, vegetated. They had cows, horses, farms, gardens and all that down there. So it was a nice community. It was everybody knew everybody. Like they say, it take a village to raise a kid. You don't want to mess up down there because there was one way in and one way out, and everybody knew you, and they didn't waste no time if you did something wrong. They'd correct you in the worst way and the best way. Yeah. So
Yeah. Hmm. And what did your parents do for to make a living or to survive? And was your father's moving from the island to town? Was that for work or for
well,
school?
when we were coming up, Dad worked as a oyster fisherman, and I can remember him telling us that he worked for $1 a day. So he'd stay away from home a lot of days, and he'd come in on the weekend or something, then spend the weekend with us, and then after that he'd go back on the boat. So he'd fish oysters in the wintertime and then troll. And then as we got a little bit older, then he went to the oil field because the oil field was moving in at that time in the 60s and all that. So it was lucrative because they knew the waters, they knew the areas, people did hire him. And I can remember when he became a crane operator, a marsh buggy dragline operator, because we did a lot of things in the marsh. We hunt, trap, and everything else. So it was just natural when they came down and they needed to go in the marsh and all that. He started working in there, and as we got older and was able to start working, we followed in our dad's footsteps and worked into the oil field even till today. Still part of the oil field. Well, I don't want to say what people call us, but we still in the oil field.
Yeah, well, there's that whole living off of the land and knowing the land and waters and being people of the water.
Right.
Did you fish with your father when you were a kid?
I remember hunting with him, going hunting with him a lot. Far as fishing, when we came up, he taught us how to troll, taught us how to fish oysters, but never had the pleasure, because when I got old enough to start working, he was already working into the oil field industry. So a lot of fishing we did was, at first was sports fishing. I call it sports fishing, where we'd go trolling, go fish oysters, catch fish, and just for the family and friends and all that at that time. But the oil field is where he made his living, and it just passed down generations to me, to my time. And I ran boats. In fact, I knew how to run boats before I knew how to drive a car.
Yeah.
So, and then once I started driving, I think I drove from the age of 13 to 18, and somebody asked me if I had a driver's license. I said, "What is that?" So I had a job, and I was working at a service station, and they sent me on the road. They figured out how I automatically had a driver's license. I was working, and he said, "Where's your driver's license?" I said, "Oh, I don't have one of those." So I had to, at that point, I had to go get one because of my job and everything else. Then I would get a driver's license.
Yeah.
I didn't know you needed that. Nobody said we had to have one. So.
I mean, the oil field changed the way of life for people down the bayou.
Yeah, it did.
And just curious, in your lifetime, can you tell us a little bit about culturally and environmentally how things have changed? And yeah, how things.
Well, how it changed is a great deal. And I'm just going to, from the time I started in the oil field, the Houma Navigational Canal is pretty much Terrebonne Parish's Mr. Go. So if people understand the Mr. Go, well, the Houma Navigational Channel is pretty much the same as the Mr. Go is to New Orleans, is the same for Terrebonne Parish. But when we were kids, young people in the oil field, we didn't know and understand climate, didn't understand environment, didn't understand, we always thought what we were doing would be around forever. So we didn't, I guess, we looked at it as a way of living, sustaining life, because before we started in the oil field, we used to do gardens, we used to have, animals and all kind of things, and we did our living that way. But as the oil field came in, and man, you could go get a paycheck, and it was steady. Every week you get paid. And I started out in the oil field. I want to say I was making like $1.25 an hour. So as a young man, and your teachers, they used to tell us how much they make a year. And I tell them, when I met one of them on a parade route, I told them, I said, "Sure, I made that in just a month. What you make in a whole year." So looking back at that now, you kind of regret saying these kind of things. I'd have probably paid attention more in school if I'd have known, what we were doing was really destroying our land, destroying our culture, and destroying our environment, which at that time no one knew or cared or even spoke about it. there were things that we done. We didn't know it was wrong at the time, but as I got older and I started realizing that the water you drink, the air that you breathe, the food that you eat, and Mother Earth, we started learning these things. But the industry has come along and it's come a long way. When we first started, I started working in 72, 74, 73. In that time frame, and I remember going in the oil field and going down the ship channel, and if you met two barges, two boats met in the ship channel, you had to hug the coat, go to the side real close, or you'd wind up touching. Now they have these big monstrosities, or almost look like baby ships, and they can go down in that bayou, in that canal now, and they got plenty of room now. So in other words, I see the erosion, and I see the effect that the oil field and the boats traveling up and down this canal has had on the size of the water that they travel in now. So, in fact, one hurricane, a ship was turned crossways in the Houma Navigational Channel. So if you can put a ship turned sideways in there, it's pretty wide bayou now.
Yeah, we spent some time in the Houma Navigation Canal with Douglas Fazio harvesting.
So y'all did. So you can see.
Yeah.
Imagine that being only maybe 200-300 feet wide compared to what you saw now.
Yeah, no, and we saw so many of the ghost cypress trees.
Yeah, stumps on the side of the bayou and all that. You could see them in the wintertime. If you come when the tide is real low, you'd be surprised how far out they still come out. They're still there. So yes. And that used to be just, like I said, maybe 200 feet wide at the widest point.
Yeah.
And it's wider than that now.
It was probably dredged in the 1960s.
It was because the oil companies came in and they wanted a direct route. Believe it or not, right there where the Dularge Bridge is, the one that they have the overpass, why does that bridge open right there? It's high enough, it's all of that, but why does it open? Because the company that was right there on the side of that bridge, they told them they were going to build an overpass, but they said no, they had to have that bridge to open so they could come out of there, the intercoastal, turn into the Houma Navigational Channel to go to the fields, the oil fields that they had there. There were drilling rigs right there that was docked, and they were them big tall derrick, them big booms. So that's why that bridge opens, so that those rigs could come out of there instead of having to go all the way to Morgan City by Shane and then hit the Chafalaya to go out that way to the waters on this end. They left that bridge open, and that's why the ship channel was built for the oil fields that were in Santa Ynez, Barre, Caillou Island, in the time that it was Texaco that had all these fields that were right there, and Getty Oil, and a lot of these companies had all fields right there, and that's why they kept those rigs. And right there by LaCorp School, that used to be Acadian. That was by LaCorp then, but it's Acadian now. That used to be a vibrant yard right there. The ship, you see a channel right there. You used to have a little crane on tracks that would load pipes and all field material from right there by the school. We'd watch them from the classroom, watch them load up the barges and take off and go down to bring the supplies to the oil field out there. So.
What kind of activity is happening now from that time? I mean, are they still?
No, a lot of that is shut down.
Derricks,
no
pipes.
derrick barges. There's no rigs there. A lot of these companies are long gone. And if you go right there at the bridge now, I don't think there's even a rig tied up at that yard anymore. So a lot of these companies have shut down or moved out or gone. They no longer exist. Or they're merging together. Used to be the Seven Sisters, they used to call them. Texaco, Chevron, Exxon, Esso, Sinclair, Union, 76. All these companies were all in Terrebonne Parish at one time. And now even Conoco, a lot of them, they've merged together now. A lot of these companies, they're together now. If you look at Texaco, Chevron, or whoever, they're merged now. So.
What do you think the future of oil and gas in Louisiana will look like in kind of thinking about, just the conditions right now and I mean, I know you're not a future, or
No.
maybe you are, you're a future
the
seer.
thing is, well, if the trend keeps going like it is now, uh, I think they're looking toward a lot of renewables. Uh, I think these oil companies are realizing fossil fuel is going to be here a little bit longer. You just, it's like everything else. I don't want to see, I guess, if you look at an alcoholic, they send them to AA classes for somebody that wants to try to stop. So until the oil company gets to AA status, where they're trying to wing off of it, and other things are coming. Other than people inventing and creating other methods to travel. Once they figure out the way and the means to do that, I think the fossil fuel industry will start to uh, wing just a little bit more than what it is now. But until we get to that point, there's still going to be a demand for oil and a demand for drilling. And there's a lot of technology from the time in my lifetime that I've seen come to where uh, people had to have hands on, touching and feeling and moving. Now there's technology where they're behind or they're in a safe distance and they can control a lot of things. Now there's still a lot of hands on, a lot of things have to be done, but the generation that came after us, these guys are a lot more aware, better educated about the environment, and they're trying to adhere to the criteria that are put in place. Contrary to belief, I'm out there every day. I'm watching them and looking at them. I see the young people that are coming up. I've seen a lot of the old ones pass, and some of the ones my age or better, now they're starting to get out the industry. So the younger people that are coming in, they have better education. They understand the environment, and they appreciate uh, the fact that technology can help in a lot of the things that needs to be done, and that just needs to be a conversation on both sides the aisle, so to speak, to where you need, they need, and somewhere in the middle there needs to be a common ground where we can get together. And you want us to do this? Well, it'll happen, but it ain't gonna happen tonight. Give me a little while to clean up the mess, and we can go from there. And hopefully they've learned from the past. Some of them, the ones that I've been working with in the last 10 years, I've seen the classes that I have to take, and the education that I have to have in order to work in some of these plants and facilities. When you walk in, the first thing they tell you, they lay down the golden rule: zero, tolerance on anything that if you're not going to be safe, they don't want you around. So it's come a long way. It's not, let's get the job done, we'll worry about the consequences. No, it's well thought out, well laid out, well planned. Accidents happen. They're still there, and I've noticed. But those that do happen, it's careless and negligence on the individual, not, and can't say it's not the industry, but it's the industry we live and we work in. But a lot of it now, there's a lot of safety. Before, get the job done, we'll worry about safety later. It used to be where production was number one. Now safety has taken over a lot. And I get it, there's accidents that happen out there, but there's far and few accidents that do happen that we notice, that I've kind of kept an eye and looking at what's going on. But they're still out there, they still happen. Some of the old pipeline, in fact, we just did a job this year where they took a lot of the old pipes, they run the smart pigs in them, and they find stress, cracks, and all that. They shut it down, they cut them, repair them, and they look at the pipe and make sure that the smart pig found or showed them what it was, and sure enough, they look and they see the stress crack. So they're trying to be better steward of the land. Again, there's people out there that don't understand that, but when you work hand in hand with it and you're out there doing it and you realize they've come a long way from when I first started. It'd have been, I'll just leave that pipe, we're going to run another one. They take it out, or they're making sure. Now accidents, again, they do happen. So, but I've seen the industry change a whole lot in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And not that, again, there's still a lot can be done. There's still a lot that has to be done. So realizing that, like you say, the future, is going to be to the ones that can protect the environment in a more president kind of way, more willing to adapt and realize that, you know, they got to change. And they are. A lot of them, these young people coming in, again, very well educated, and they spend a lot of time doing, you know, meeting with a lot of people, and they realize that they have to change their mindset.
Yeah. That's all really good to hear and to know, and yeah, to recognize that we're in the middle of a lot of changes.
We're in transition right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are happening. Is it happening fast enough? Probably not. For those that think it should have happened 20, 30 years ago. But then again, you know, money drives a lot of things, and production drives a lot of things. So, and consumers drive a lot of things. So you have to realize, if there's a need out there, somebody's going to supply that need.
Yeah.
So who's going to do it in the most safe way that it can be done, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's making me think about, you know, all of those decisions that were made in the past when people didn't know what the side effects would be, like the canals that were dredged, and that, you know, the Houma navigation is one, but we have over 10,000 miles of canals, or
called location canals.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The canals were dug to bring in rigs to locations. And way back then, they knew, according to what I've been told and heard, is that once you dug a location canal, and once the rig left, you were supposed to dam it back off. But somehow or another, the officials and the oil companies came to agreement that it would be beneficial or whatever to leave it open, what have you, and they left it. So, and that was you know, not a good scenario at the time, because I tell people, you know, we've been flying. I take a lot of people flying. I told them, get off, come to the Houma airport. We'll get up off the ground, take off, and as soon as we clear the trees, you can almost hear them, you know, taking that. And when they see how close the water is to where we actually live, it's all, and you know, they just can't believe it. I know Tammy and I and a few others, we've taken off and flew out of Terrebonne Airport, Houma Terrebonne Airport, and as soon as we clear the trees, you don't know which way to go, because there's water here, and I've got pictures, and I know we've documented a lot of this. It's just from '92 all the way after Hurricane Andrew, Katrina, and now Ida. Every storm that comes in, we lose tremendous amount of land because the barrier islands are no longer there, you know. And the ones and the land that we do have left, it's going to be monumental to try to save and continue living where we're living, you know. So in the next 50 years, I don't know what Terrebonne Parish and New Orleans and the rest of them are going to look like if we continue on the path we're going now, you know. And thing about it is that, you know, if they would restore the land, then who the land belongs to. You know, so that's a question that hasn't been answered. But I guess if federal dollars restore the land, then it belongs to the federal government. So if you own the land before the water took it, they restore it, then it's no longer your land. Then it becomes the federal government's land. So in lies the dilemma about restoration. Something that and then again, I'm not sure about that. I can't, you know, I'm just speaking words to my thoughts.
And most of our Houma communities are found in this vulnerable territory that's at the end of the roads.
Exactly.
That have these kind of big question marks. And thinking about the land, and thinking about the resources from land. I mean, we're water people just as much as we're land people, but yeah, I'm just wondering. I know that you have many skills, but that you are a traditional keeper of knowledge, or a knowledge keeper of traditional skills. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you've done with palmetto and palmetto building, the structures, and
Yeah,
and where you harvest those materials, and yeah, just the process.
that the harvesting of the material is becoming harder and harder now because where we used to harvest it, a lot of them in down in Grand Kaya, uh, along the roads and all that. Uh, these lands have been either dug up to take the hard dirt from there and build levees, so the palmettos are no longer available to get, and then you find a few of them, and a lot of them, because they're not in some of their native habitat areas, uh, they don't grow as lush as the other ones used to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we used to, and we still make. For a lot of years, we went to down in St. Bernard. If you remember the Islana Museum, and we started way back then building palmetto huts for Mr. Bill and the festival that he used to have there. And once we started, then the other groups came in. A lot of the traditional people came down, and they started building it as a native village. Hadn't been there since the hurricane, so I can't say that it's still there. But I remember it used to be there, and they had a lot of palmetto huts back there. But we were a few of the first ones to start building, and I remember I call her Poison Ivy. Linda, what was her name, Mom? Linda? Lynn. And she came, and we went building. And I can remember going to get the palmetto huts along the property over there. And I told her, I said, "Are you allergic to anything?" "Oh, I think I'm all right." And when we finished harvesting the palmettos to build the first hut, she was swole up. And the old lady, the elder lady that was working there, she tried all kind of stuff to try to help her out, but nah, she just couldn't. It was too far gone. But she was highly allergic to poison ivy, so I nicknamed her Poison Ivy. I told people that's how you get your Indian name, somebody says something, so I gave her that name now. So when I see her, I'll call her Poison Ivy, and she knows, it's a fun game. We built the palmetto hut, and we went to Jazz Fest, and we built them there. We built it with Greyhawk. We built Chiqui, helped him over there a lot of it. We'd harvest the palmettos, and we'd bring them over to Jazz Fest. And we'd build it the week before the festival started, and then we wouldn't finish it because while we were there, it was part of the education. We'd go ahead and tie some all week, the weekends that we were there, we'd tie the palmetto hut, tie it on there, and people were amazed that when I tell them, I say we'd go in the woods, and as kids we just thought they were nice little huts to make, nice little camps to make, so we do it. But we realized that we learned that from our elders. They'd set it up when they'd go hunting, trapping. They'd put about 4 or 5 layers around it, build it, make the little round top to it. Some of them would make the little chiqui, be the pointed roof, put a little floor in it and put the palmettos on there because it tied, and in the wintertime the march was soft. So they'd put a little floor in it and put the palmettos on there just to stay dry during the night, so if the tide would come up, they wouldn't get wet, And it would stay. Believe it or not, if we'd make it one year, we'd come back the next year. Some of the willow trees, they would actually start growing because once you push them in the marsh, they would grow back, So we'd go in there and we'd just tie some new ones on it, and we'd have a little hunting camp to sleep in over the night when we'd go hunting, hunting poodoos, ducks, rabbits, whatever. And you had your little hut there, so. Yeah, and that's something that we did with the kids, with our children, and now I have grandchildren. So, like I told Mama, I said, we're going to go over there and we're going to put one up in the yard, and I'm going to get some palmettos, and we're going to show them, how it's done, so they can carry on the tradition. Also, building the palmetto huts,
Where would you harvest the palmettos today?
We got a small patch behind the house right now. So I've walked and I've been watching them from where I live to the bayou. They have a few of them, but nowhere near what we used to have because down the bayou with the hurricanes, numerous hurricanes coming in, salt water comes in, and it takes a few years for the ground to purge itself from the salt water. Then they start growing again. But a lot of the land now, like I say, has been dug up. And some of the land that still remain belong to other people now. So we're not able to just, we have to go talk to them and see to get permission in order to go try to harvest some palmettos from them,
And as a so the United Houma Nation is it's not a federally recognized tribe, even though we
No.
have a long relationship with them, right?
Yep.
The feds.
Oh yeah. Well, what I tell people, is this: is that we may not be fairly recognized, but we're recognized by the feds. Because I've been to D.C. as the principal chief of the United Houma Nation, and Lucretia, her and I went to D.C. and we went at one of these Senate committee hearings, and we went bring the books because you only have 5 minutes to speak, but yet you have a book of information, so you have to condense a whole book of information to 5 minute speech. So what we did, we went to all our representatives and we brought them the book. So they were in meetings. So when we were leaving one of the senators' office, we were down in the lobby, fixing to go out the door. Somebody hollered, "Hey chief, hey chief!" I didn't hear, but Lucretia heard, which her nickname is Baby Doom. So she hollered, "Hey chief, stop!" So I stopped, and what it was David Vitter was calling out my name to talk to me. So, and that's why I get there. Like I tell everybody, we might not be fairly recognized, but the feds recognize who we are. So we have a good relation with the federal government. Does that mean anything? Well, with the hurricanes that come, you never see them. So I don't know. We're good, but we do have a lot of friends, a lot of other tribes that are out there that really come to the aid of the tribe. So, yeah, we are blessed.
Does the tribe have any rights to the resources and the territories where where most of the tribe lives, which are the six parishes along the coast?
I don't think so. I really couldn't.
Yeah,
and all my time, unless it just had it, like I say, tribal citizens maybe own land and stuff. But as far as the tribe, we own a piece of land. A couple of them now. In fact, we just got the office in Golden Meadow that the school board finally handed to the tribe. So we do have that piece of property. We have the one in Gray, and we have the one also in Montague, and we do own a little parcel in Bayou Blue. So those are the lands that the tribe that I know of owns at this time.
And those properties the tribe had to purchase.
We had to purchase,
that
correct.
But then, because I was recently up at the headwaters and learning about the treaty rights with the Ojibwe and how even off of their reservation in their territory, they still have rights to go harvest
right.
birch bark or medicine but
we don't have that right. No, we don't have that right because again, you'd have to go back to the oil companies coming in and when we did seek federal recognition, they stepped in to try to block our effort to become fairly recognized. And I know it's recorded, and where's the information to get it? We're not fairly recognized today, so why is that? What I heard, the stories I heard, and I'm gonna give it to you the same way I got it, is that once we applied for federal recognition, they petitioned Washington, and they spoke to some of the other tribes saying, if they get recognized, they're such a large tribe, they will be cutting into your funding. So a lot of these other tribes voiced their opinion about us becoming fairly recognized. Now, fast forward to today, a lot of that has changed because they know it was just, conquer and divide or divide and conquer. They came in there and told them that, in which they wouldn't have lost anything, they wouldn't have gained anything, but because they told them that they would lose, they spoke up. And now, these many years, 35, 36 years later, they realized, that was just a lie. That's about the best way I could put it. It was just a lie that they wouldn't have lost a lot of things. And a lot of tribes, are fairly recognized, and they realize that that's not how it works the way that they were saying. But back then, they got it, and they were protecting their tribe's interests, which I could understand that, because we are a large tribe, and we reside in 6 parishes. So they would have some concerns, and I guess it would be so. to be worried about their sovereignty also, you know.
Yeah. And thinking about land loss and that, just last year, the the Houma homelands were hit so hard by Hurricane
Yeah,
Ida,
yeah.
which you were doing a lot of the relief support work in the aftermath, which we're a year out and people are still dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And just, yeah, knowing how many changes have happened and all of the uncertainty. Um, I'm just curious about your thoughts and thinking about what the future for the Houma Nation um, might look like, and with the challenges, if you have any ideas about solutions or support that could be put into place so that we can maintain these relationships. I mean, as simply as being able to have a place to collect palmetto and also a place to put your boat on a bayou side. Just thinking about all of those things. I know that's a big question, and you might not.
Well, I got it.
I bet you have a bunch of answers or ideas, but
The thing
yeah.
is that this last hurricane, Ida, as you know, normally our tribal land in the 6 parishes, we normally get hit with hurricanes, and it's one, maybe two of the parishes that may get affected by the hurricane. Ida was way beyond that. Ida hit 5 of our 6 parishes, our communities where our tribal people live, and it really struck home. Really made me realize that even in our best effort, we're still going to be short on what we need to do. So in realizing that, we're stepping up our game. We're trying to get better organized at distributing and our contacts. The tribe realizing what it needs to do on the property that we have now that our former chief was able to acquire during his tenure, which we stayed during Hurricane Ida. We stayed at the facility here in Houma, and we watched we rode the storm out, and realizing that half the building, the roof, a lot of the shingles came off, and we lost a lot of the interior. One of them was the kitchen area. 3 out of the 6 wings, 7 wings we had, 6 wings, 3 of them, were pretty much inundated with rainwater as the time came in. So what we're looking at is building a storage on the property, have a warehouse there where we hopefully can get it Cat 5 certified and secured, so we can stage some items when the storm, for after the storm aftermath. This one, when Ida hit, we were able to acquire some supplies from Red Cross, which we had on the site. So after the hurricane was done, people started calling. We were able to start. We connected with the Terrebonne Parish Council on Aging. Ms. Diane Edmondson was there. So I told her we need some place to store some supplies if we get them in. Ms. Lucretia McDowell, I guess that's her name, Mom. So I'll make sure I get it right. Her and her husband were gracious enough to let us use the warehouse that they had on Bayou LaCorp in Houma here. So North Bayou LaCorp. So I just got to make sure that. And we were able to store a lot of stuff. People came from South Carolina. A couple of pastors called. They brought in some wood, brought in some tarps, brought in some supplies. So we were able to get things coming in real quick. As soon as the storm was over, we were able to get people in to help repair the building, try and stop some of the water leak, contain some of the water damage from the other rooms, so that we didn't get those rooms damaged that didn't receive it during the initial storm. But they came in and they put a cover on the roof. What was that name of that, Mama? Dude's company?
Continuum
continual restoration came in, and they were able to jump on the roof right away. I mean, the winds just had subsided, and they were already on the roof helping us patch it up. So it's having these relationships that you build, and that's, you know, before the storm. And these are many years that we've been working with a lot of these people. And the president, you know, our former chief had connection, and they called, and they were able to help get supplies in right away. And as soon as we got them in, we have community leaders that were out there, and we contacted them. In fact, one of them was in Texas, and I called him. I said, as soon as you get down here and down in your area, let us know what you need, and we're coming, man. And, you know, so it's building these relationships and building these communication lines and being there. And then when they're in need, helping to go out with them. So I joined another group, and that's part of, you know, because of Ida and all the storm related stuff that we've been working with. It's called Taproot. And we're starting with these, and these are going to be global. It's not just here locally, but wherever there's going to be disaster, we should, you know, we want to be able to respond to all these areas. So having learned some of these and working with different people in different organizations. In fact, we even went to Ironton and Plaquemine over there, and the chief was able to go bring supplies to the people down that way, because it's communities helping communities. And that's what we try to tell people. If we'd be fairly recognized, it would not only help the tribe, but it would help all the communities where the tribe is located at. And as I said earlier, realizing that we didn't have all the supplies that we needed, and still some of them, if you go down Lower Lafitte, Goose Bayou, and all those areas behind the levees, I'm not sure they're going to come back, Monique. To be honest with you, I'm really not sure that these people can, if they hit another storm, can they return, or will they return back and having to try to rebuild these areas? It really tugs at my heartstring, because you really want to try to help them. Well, what do you do? What can we do? I mean, Mr. Roy, his roof blew all his house. The whole roof was gone. He wanted us to go tarp it. We could put blue tarps up there, but they don't last but a few days. And what we'd had to put up on there, I didn't have the manpower. We didn't have the resources at the time to do it, you know. Because, like you said, we're not a fairly recognized tribe. We're only a state tribe. Resources came in, then we were able to, the tribe was able to hire people to continue the outreach after I had to come back to work. I stayed a whole month, you know, doing the relief effort. And once we had everybody in all these communities situated and set up, then the people that they hired, we were dropping off in Lafitte, dropping off in LaRose, Dulac, Dularge. We kept making the rounds as the supplies would come in. We'd bring them to these communities and help these communities out. And at that time, we were using our truck, our trailers. So, you know, doing what we had to do to make sure that these communities receive what they at least could help them for short term, you know.
Yeah, no, thinking about all of that is just, it's like a wave washing over. But thinking about the tribal artisans and the skill, those who are holding the skills, and just wondering, like, how you think the government, be it state, federal, or tribal, could help to really, do you have any ideas about how, or support systems that could, for those elders and also for young people too, that, you know, with every storm there's a disruption, and we're losing so much, losing land, and so
Exactly.
just curious about, like, your ideas around how we can keep communities connected and culture intact, and those skills being shared.
The tribe right now, the building that we have, they're reconfiguring the interior of it to where the the artisans and all this will have a place to hopefully gather and store some of their artifacts. And I call them artifacts because a lot of these things that they make will stand the test of time. They'll be around, but we need to have a place in order to store them. We need to have a place where they can come and work, get paid, and teach and show our young people. And that's one of the things that I think the incoming chief, outgoing chief, had a vision for, and I think they're going to be working at that. And as tribal security, we want to meet with them, and because I think the blueprint they have for the building now has areas that are going to be set aside for those cultural bearers in order to be able to have a place that they can say, this is where we come in, and have an area that people can come, sit down, and hopefully get taught or shown the culture that we're losing so rapidly with our generation that's passing away, you know. And we don't want to take it with us. We want to leave it with someone, make sure that it transfers to them and carries over to the next generation. So as what I'm doing now is with my son is making sure everything that I do and what we at, he's involved. When I was the principal chief, he served on the election board. He was involved. He's there. He and his wife now, I know they're going to be very involved in the tribe and what they're doing. He was the one that took my place working in the tribe with the relief effort. He continued until well into December, Christmas time. Then when we did Indian Santa, then he had to go back to work into his regular job to start making his living, you know, so he can continue his business, because he started a business. He put all that aside to make sure that our tribal citizens and their desperate, you know, their destruction that they were going through, that they could at least know someone was coming, at least once a week, if not often and more than that, when they need it, that someone was going to come, and not, you know, have, I don't say feel sorry for them, but to give them a hand up, you know, and help them, and have someone to talk to. He's an ordained minister. He's a pastor, so not only did he bring it, but he could listen to them and speak with them and help them out, you know, spiritually also. So, and that's a lot of it because our people are very religious people, you know. I'm not going to say it's one denomination, it's all across the spectrum, because we believe in the Creator and we pray a lot, you know, all of us. So, and he was able to not only bring them the stuff, but also help minister to them if they needed it also.
Faith is so important. Faith and community in times of disaster is really what, I mean, you need water and blue tarps, but...
but you need someone to talk to sometime, just to hear you, if it's nothing more than to just, man, I don't know, but a smiling face and someone to just hold your hand, or just to sit down and talk with you and pray with you. You know, because a lot of that, they would ask him just pray for him, or pray with him, and he'd do that. So
wow. And the work continues, right?
Even till today, because I got a call the other night. Well, I ain't gonna say the other night. We went to our son's wedding, and we have people in the tribe that are still struggling today, these many months after the storm. They're still waiting for this to happen, still waiting for that to happen, or just waiting to see, you know, to get help. So it's I want to be, you know, I feel like I'm hindered having to work a job and be away from my community, because I'm trying to set up to where I can be more involved in my community, to try to help our citizens, because if we don't help them, who's going to help them? You know, there was a cartoon that I used to go around with, that had the cavalry and the sword drawn and the flag coming over, and I said, the cavalry's not coming to help us. We got to help ourselves. So one guy, he got mad. So you had to put that on there. I say, don't get mad. They're not coming to help us. They may come to help you, but they're not coming to help us. So we got to pull ourselves up, help our elders, help our young people, and make them, you know, help them to understand that if what we're doing is what keeps our culture and our spirit and our heritage alive. That they need to grasp that and not be a burden, not be burdened by it, but to embrace it and to be willing, to inherit what is rightfully theirs.
Hmm. Are there any, just thinking about, I mean, where we are in the present time, that it kind of feels like there's a bottleneck that we're going through with culture and biodiversity all around us. But I'm just wondering about, are there any traditional skills or practices or life ways that you don't see anymore that you remember from your younger
Yeah.
days, which weren't that long ago? But
Yeah, it's been a few
but
moons. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm just
Gardening is one of them. Farming, raising stuff that you eat. I don't see a lot of. In fact, I call my wife Mama, so everybody knows her as lovingly as that's my wife. But I call her Mama, and I told her, I said, when we come back to town, I say my granddaughter said we're gonna grow a salad, and that's a garden. So just so everybody knows, she's interested in learning how to grow their own food. Her mama has I call it a porch garden. On her porch, she has these little boxes, and they're growing stuff on the porch. So she sparked the interest in it. So now it's up to us to bring them out there and show them how you have to dig the land, take care of it, plant the seed, keep the weeds out, and then harvest when the time comes. Those are some of the things that I see that a lot of our young people, it's so simple just to get in a car, go right to the local store, pick up what you want, and come back. But I've seen on the news where they're finally getting some ships that are bringing grain over this way. I wouldn't think that people, other countries would be sending food to America, and I was all struck by that to begin with. I said, really? So that tells me that unless we start farming and start providing for ourselves, we're going to be in a terrible way real soon. Because I went to COP21 and I learned about seeds, and I talked to Professor Tammy Greer about that when I came back. And what it is if we don't harvest the genuine seeds, the way that the environment is changing, these seeds won't survive the temperature rise that's coming. They'll be susceptible to disease and all kind of things. Now I don't know the whole, but I learned just enough to know that if we don't start harvesting and protecting these seeds, we may be harmed in a short period of time here real soon. So we want to make sure that we try to look out and take care of these seed pods and make sure that they'll be around for a few more years, because if they're not, we're not going to be here.
Yeah. I always love to think about how our sovereignty is tied to food security, and I also love to eat. So
Yep.
food is
Food is water and food.
water and food.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Did any of your elders have any were they basket weavers, or did they have any traditional boat builders or trappers?
A lot of them, the ones that I didn't know, my grandma, she was a traiteur, but I didn't know it, and she wasn't. I thought she had a garden, a flower bed, but in her flower bed was her medicine. And I looked in there, and as a young 6-year-old, 5-year-old, you run around playing, and you'd go there, and I remember cutting grass with a knife, with one of them push lawnmowers and all of that. And I say push lawnmower, that's the ones that the wheels turn and the blades spin. When we were lucky, we had one like that. But she would go there, and people would come, and she'd go pick this, pick that, get this. And I'd go get out, and it never registered, it never dawned on me. And there's a lot of my aunts that I knew, they were healers and all of that. But it never, I don't know, it just didn't register. until I got a little bit older. Then I realized when I looked, I said, those are flowers, but they're not flowers. They were actually the medicine that she grew in the front, and she threw the coffee ground on them. She took care of that area real good. That area, we didn't, we always worked that area. Everywhere she moved, we left Dakeville, we came to Odemont. She had those same plants that were there. I said, well, she likes those plants. They're nice. They're pretty. They're little flowers. They're pretty. They had the little balls on them and everything. I said, those are nice. But I didn't realize that those were medicines and things that she used, because I got cuts on my hands there. You can see it went deep.
Yep.
That's a deep scar.
Yeah.
You don't see no stitch mark, huh? She took care of that, Spider webs, and I used to call it trees. I'd go get some tree, and she'd put that, but as a ferdicid or whatever they used to call that, and she'd put that and take a rag, take some colloid, rinse it off with colloid, and then tape it up and tie it up.
Wow.
So
What's her name?
Selvina Dardar.
Selvina.
Yeah.
Beautiful name.
Yeah, that was my grandma.
Wow.
Yeah.
You grown any of those plants?
Unfortunately, no.
Retirement. When your retirement starts.
I'm gonna look them up and see if I can find them. They were a pretty pinkish green little bulb that she grew, and they had some little seeds in them, so I don't even know what that was. So
some ducks outside.
Yeah, pick that up, did you? Yeah, you can edit that part out. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I could keep talking to you for a really long time, but I wonder, we way in the future. We aren't there anymore, but your grandchildren, great grandchildren, are sitting around a table, and they're talking about their great grandfather, Thomas Dardar Jr. What do you hope they're talking about? Remembering about you and your life, and
the only thing, well, I hope they talk about me anyway, but talk good, is that we try to be a friend to nature and try to be a friend to man. On both ends, is that there was no stranger that we meet. It's just family that we never met. It's so that we could, leave the world a better place than what we found. Realizing that coming up as a young man, took a lot of things for granted. Thought they would always be here. Never worried about it until he got a little bit older and tried to make a difference and tried to change or correct the wrong that was done, by our generation, and pass that on to them and let them realize that we're only here for a short time. We don't own the land. We just borrowing it from the next generation. So we need to leave it better for those that will inherit what we leave behind.
What are your hopes for the next generation, the one that's coming right now? Do you have any wishes for them?
Yeah, that they get off them phones a little bit and come outside and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Take time to enjoy life, that everything is not going to stay the same. I got a granddaughter. She starts school this year, and they live in our yard. And every time I come home, I sit there and I cry a little bit because I miss her so much. Is that I love walking. Her and I, we get up early in the morning, we go walk the driveway back and forth, and about the fourth or fifth time we're walking, okay, Papa, that's enough. I'm tired. I say, okay, you wait right here. I'm going to go make this one more wrap. And I start walking away, and then she comes running, catches me. Okay, I'm coming. I rested enough. And then, we try to walk a half hour in the morning, and then we sit there and we talk. Then we go inside and we eat breakfast. So these are the things that, spending time with them and realizing that they're only here for a short time. And they're going to grow up, and if we don't show them and teach them, I don't like saying the word teach, because when you teach somebody something, they're prone to forget. But if you show them and you walk with them and you let them experience it, they remember it a lot longer than something they're taught, because they're going to forget that. When you're taught something, you forget that. But if you experience it, that remains with you for a long time, a lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do, is that I don't want to teach them things. I want to show them things and be there for them to experience the good things in life that while they're young, they can enjoy and appreciate.
What is her name?
Grace.
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 Yep.
Future ancestor.
Oh, yeah. And she starts school this year. And then the other ones, they're all there. Like I say, but she's still impressionable. She's curious, and we do things. So,
Yeah.
and that's what I say. So all of them, in fact, well, we have 11, still 11 or 12 now, grandchildren, and we have one great grandson.
Oh, wow.
So we're already one of the greats.
Great.
So, yeah. And but again, so it's being able to be there for them, and want to spend time with them. Because I've worked all my life. My kids grew up. I've worked every day. And, you always try to use the excuse that the ends justify the means. I'm not sure of that anymore, to be honest with you. I'm really not sure. And I don't know the saying that we used to say that my parents said, I wanted better for them than it was for me. I started reevaluating that statement, reevaluating that saying, because what I grew up with, I wish my kids could experience that. By me trying to make it better for them, did I rob them of that experience? Did I take that from them by trying to make something that was already good better for them? So I'm trying to reevaluate that statement to myself, is that, does the end really justify the means?
Wow.
And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm really trying to figure out.
We all are. We
Yeah,
all are.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned it earlier, and I want to talk about all kinds of things, but can you tell us a little bit about Indian Santa and how it began and how you have inherited this huge responsibility?
Well, it's a huge responsibility, but it's like anything else. A job is never a job if you love it. So I really love doing what we do, and I'm just the front guy. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and I always like to be careful to make sure that I'm the guy in the front. I'm the one you see, but there's a lot of things that happen all year long. Mama, Professor Greer, her students, other community people that are out there donating and helping this cause. It really started, of all things, a hurricane. Uncle Joe, he was a gunny sergeant, and he saw the need, the island, L'Île Jean Charles, poor community. Parents weren't able to work. The storm danced around the coast, go out, come back in, dance, go out, come back in. I think that was Hugo. I might be wrong. Juan, Hurricane Juan, and it kept doing that. So he sewed a little Santa outfit, Indian Santa. He had regalia, incorporated that into his regalia. Got the bonnet, the wedding bonnet, and he started the tradition. And Toys for Tots, the Marine Corps donated toys and helped them out that year. They even flew him in with a helicopter to the island. Yeah, so it really went on. So many years, and I started working with him a little bit after that. After the first couple of years he did it, and we went with him, and we'd go to New Orleans, we'd pick up toys. He'd call us and, hey, Tom, come pick up this. Hey, Thomas, come over here. So we'd go and we'd pick it up. We'd get all the toys. We'd separate it by age and stuff. So when he came, we'd go to the island and Golden Meadow. Those were the two communities that he served. The first few years it was just the island, but as he started getting more and more toys, we branched out to Golden Meadow. So that went on for a few years, and we kept doing it. And then they started a toy drive in Houma. That was when we took over. I want to say they started that. But in '96, he's getting up in age, so he said, okay, he said, it's time for you to take it now. 2006. So '96 is when we were really involved with him real heavy. So we became his little elves and all that. We'd go around. We'd pick up the toys and store them for him. Then Christmas, we'd go with him. In fact, I made him a sled, and we'd put it on a trailer, and we'd drive him in the community on the sled from the beginning of the houses on the island all the way to the fire station. He'd be in the sled waving to people, and then we went to, from that, as we grew, we went to Grand Kai, and he told me, he said, we need to make this big. He said, we need to hit more communities. I said, okay, well, let's get the toys, and we see what we can do. So we made the rounds, and we had a box, a little small box of toys left. Christmas Eve was our last run. So my mom and them, we'd do Christmas by my mama's house. So we got the call. We were at my mom's house. Somebody called me. They knew who we were, you know, knew us. Kirby, I think it was, Reverend Kirby. And he said, man, he said, there's a elderly lady over here. The mother and the father just got arrested, and they got 8 children. They're not going to have a Christmas. I told Mama, I got up from the table. I said, we got to go. She said, what? I said, we got to go. Really? I said, yeah. We got in the truck. We drove to Goldfield, right there by the community center, at one of the houses, Dulac Community Center. We backed up right there. And I'm only telling you this story because there's a meaning behind it. An elderly man came up to me and he said, I want a train. I want a train set. Train set. My son was with me. The one that Tommy, we call him, he was with me. I told him, I said, okay, reach in the box, get the man a train set. He looked at me. She looked at me. They all knew, without a doubt, there was nothing in there. We had little bitty Hot Wheels and all kind of little bitty toys. I knew there was no train set in there. We put everything in the box and brought it. My son reached down in the box, and guess what he came up with? He's not here, and you can ask him about it, and he'll tell you. All of our jaw dropped. And we gave it to the man, and he cried. We all cried. Because we knew there was no train in the box.
Wow.
So from that point on, I knew that, you know, God was with us. It was Indian Center was born out of a disaster, and the silver lining is that at Christmas time, it brings joy and happiness to not only the kids, but the grandparents, the parents, and our elders. There was a I want to say she was about 92 at the time. She up in age, and she waited her turn in line to come see Indian Santa. So when she came the following year, they wanted to hurry up and, you know, oh, they got all these kids. I said, stop. I told Mama, I said, tell them to calm down. Don't worry about her. Her and I, it's her moment. She was an elder. You know, the kids, they're going to jump. She sat there, and you know what she told me? She said, don't français, but they don't français. T'es le premier Christian que j'ai si déçu. You're the first Santa Claus I sit on. So, I mean, these are statements like this that you carry with you, and you go with it. So it's a monumental, like you said, task, but it's not a burden. It's a joy and a love that we bring to the communities and share. A few years ago, there was a community, Choctaw Nation. 200 people, if I got it right, died from COVID. We were asked to go there. We went, you know, and just to see the smile and the joy that it brought to that community. Last year we went to Gold Downer. People, you know, they had kids in need of there, and we went. So the task that Uncle Joe tasked me with to make it grow, through help from the community and through generous people that support us and work with us, we're able to fulfill his goal and his dream and his desire. So I'm fulfilling my uncle's dream and his desire to see it grow. So it's not me you see up there, it's him that you see. When you see me, you see Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
I remember him. He's a big, tall man.
Big, tall man. Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Joe. Well,
So
looking forward to Christmas time.
can't wait.
It's right around the corner.
It's right around the corner. So, but we hopefully, we're moving to do some things that will secure and make sure it's around. Now, one thing I have to tell you about Indian Santa is Indian Santa. It's not United Houma Nation. It's not whatever. It's Indian Santa. It's Native Santa. It's standalone entity because Uncle Joe, in his wisdom and his might, he told me, he said, keep it as such, because as soon as somebody puts the hand on it, it will no longer serve what it was designed to serve. He said he wants to serve the community. Yes, our tribal kids, yes, our tribal nation, but anyone that comes is welcome to be there, and we won't turn them away. So no matter who it is, no matter what, they're all going to be served.
Yeah.
So, and that was his only request of Indian Santa, is that it stay Native Santa, Indian Santa, not tribal affiliated, because he didn't want the tribe to say, all you could serve is this community, this community, this community, this community. He wanted to serve the Indian and the communities, our Indian people and the communities, no matter what.
Yeah.
No turning down nobody.
Right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say? I mean, this is a record that will go into the Library of Congress, and we're so grateful to have this interview with you and to spend time with you. We're hoping to build a palmetto structure with you soon.
As soon as we get home and get some
Yeah.
palmettos and willow trees, we'll call
find
you
some
up.
palmettos.
We'll call you up, and we'll get the kids and bring everybody out,
Yeah.
and we'll have a little teach and show demonstration and build it together. I guess if there's only one thing we need to know is that people years from now, if they ever look at it, is that they realize that our communities are vulnerable, and if we don't stand together to try to save what we have, then the time we may be standing may be on the last piece of land that the Houma Nation may be recognized on. If we lose that, then who are we? Because we identify to our land, and our land identifies who we are. So if we lose that, and we're not willing to fight for it, then who are we? Then what do we become?
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with a good question.
I'll leave everyone with a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all for taking the time and coming and talk to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the VA.
Yeah. Moi aussi.
Moi aussi.
Thank you. That was great. It was really great to.
I try not to
You're
ramble
real.
too much, but
You're being real. No, it was great.
yeah.
It was great. Yeah. Yeah.